Rachel.
And I'm Hannah.
Welcome to the RAD Rapport, a podcast born out of the nonprofit Ride at Dawn.
In the coming episodes, you will hear real life truths from victims and professionals who have incredible stories of overcoming abuse, finding healing, and building a better industry for our kids in it.
These stories will not be easy to hear, they are even harder to live through. Please use discretion and your own judgment on if you are in a place to listen and absorb these stories.
Our goal for this podcast is to give our guests the stand and a chance to tell their story the way that they want to, uninterrupted and unscripted.
Glad you're here. Please let us know what you think of this episode and comment the questions you want us to ask our guest on the follow-up episode.
Enjoy.
I am 30 years old. I have been married and divorced 2 times. My first marriage was awful as well. We were married for a little over a year. Long story short, I found out at least 9 different girls he was cheating on me with, like meeting up and sleeping with. And when he came home one day, I was just sitting on the couch talking to him like I'm talking to you guys right now. And I said, you don't know the name of a girl named whatever her name was. And he's like, no. Anyways, I start naming them off and his eyes got, just real big. And I'm like, yeah, just get the fuck out. Here's your bags, get the fuck out. And so that was that marriage. He wouldn't sign the divorce papers for a while. My dad made him. And then meanwhile, while he hasn't signed those yet, this makes me sound like a great person, but I started talking to the next guy that would become my husband. And we got married just like that, like I hadn't learned a lesson or anything. And so, the beginning was great, obviously. And then drugs got involved. And then just like I was so oblivious to drugs or anything. I didn't even know like what we were doing, but it was not good, obviously. And so then, you do a bunch of drugs and then you stay up for days and then everything you do is wrong because nobody's gotten any sleep. So then obviously it got more abusive, I guess, or violent and a little at a time. So like the first time that he, slapped me, we were in the truck and he just reared back and slapped me across the face. And I was just kind of like, it's all right. Like, I know you're going through a lot. So I guess that kind of opened the door to, well, it's okay, and it just got worse from there. Anyways, we decided that we wanted to have, this is like a couple years down, been terrible, but anyways, a couple years down, and we decided we want to have a kid. And I'm like, well, if we're trying to have a kid, obviously we're not doing drugs. I'm not trying to have a kid and doing, okay, yeah, we won't. Okay. Well, I know for a fact that I wasn't doing anything, but I'm not quite for sure on his end. I'm pretty sure he was still doing them. Anyways, I got pregnant and then ended up having a miscarriage. And so his thought was, and also the doctor told me that I'd never be able to have kids. So, I went to the emergency room because I, thought I might be having a miscarriage. So I went there and the doctor came in and was like, well, it looks like you had a miscarriage. You have a bicornuate uterus and you're never going to have kids. Turned around and walked out. Like, that was it. I was like, what the fuck? What? So after that, he was basically just like, well, we can't have kids anyways. So what do we got to lose? Why not do the drugs basically? And he's so taking over my head at this point to make it seem like, yeah, you're right. Why not? So we kind of start doing that again or whatever. And then I stopped. And about 2 months later, I found out I'm pregnant again. Well, then it was with my daughter, Cactus. We moved while we were together. We moved 9 times because he was somebody who obviously he couldn't keep a job because he was always right and whoever he worked for was not. And so we moved from Arkansas to Oklahoma, back to Arkansas, back to Oklahoma. Just back and forth 9 times. And every weekend, my mom would keep Cactus. Well, on most of those weekends, we would go out and drink and not do drugs. After Cactus was born, there was no drugs from my side. But we would drink and he would just get very abusive, during that time. And one time it was bad enough to where like my face was kind of bad and I had marks on my neck and everything to whenever I picked Cactus back up, he I had to it was hot outside and I'm wearing a sweatshirt and a cap on, and my mom's mom, my grandma was with her and she was I could feel her just really looking me over, and she was like, "You okay?" And I was like, yeah, and you always make up stories. Well, why you got that big bruise on your forehead? And I was like, "Oh, we're shooting bows and I popped myself in the head or whatever. And so my grandma, she's not stupid. She knew something was going on, but just didn't really say a lot. And my mom, she's a little more oblivious. So she's just like, "Oh, okay." Obvious. I'm the type of person that everyone thinks that if something like that was to be going on, I would have done something or shot him or whatever. But anyways, I wasn't. I never told not one person, not anybody in my family, not one friend. So I never had anybody to talk to about it because I didn't want, you're still married. He's still going to be around. You don't want to tell everybody he's beating the shit out of you and then, "Oh, Merry Christmas." You just you don't want to do that. And everyone wants to be like, "Well, why? Why?" And, you don't. At that point in time, you don't think about anything. Well, I'm not going to do anything about it. So why tell anybody, unless you're going to leave, what's the point of telling everybody? Cause then you're an idiot. You're more of an idiot, I guess. So the last time that we moved back to Oklahoma, he got him a camping trailer and would work in Arkansas. And he'd be gone 4 or 5 days a week working somewhere like at a sale barn where you don't have to be gone that long. And so I'm not stupid, So finally he comes back one time and I'm just like, "Listen, just leave. If you want to, I know you don't want to be here. I don't really want you here. Just leave. And Cactus, she was an early 2-year-old at that time. And so it was hard, but it, wasn't as hard as if it was to happen right now as she's almost 6. So, and now we're living a great life. I have 3 kids and not married, but I do have a great life partner and our 3 kids, and we're doing great. So that's kind of the gist of everything.
Wow, that's an incredible story. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you made it out. And I think it's going to be really inspiring for a lot of victims and survivors to see that you can get out, you can recover, and you can find love again. You can find a nice human, you can find good
Yeah.
people.
Absolutely, that you don't have to stay, but it is hard to make it up in your mind that you're going to have to do something different or you can live this life forever until
Exactly.
something bad was to happen.
Was the last straw him being gone working?
I think that is kind of what motivated me to be like, I know that you're not just going up there to work. I know you're seeing other people there. And this is my chance to use that and just say, get out.
Was he okay with leaving, or did he have, since he was so abusive, did he end on a bad note?
Well, he went in my room and started tearing it up, throwing everything everywhere. I have my bar performance horses like t-shirts and stuff, and he'd go in there and he'd rip them up and just his main deal was he didn't want me to be successful in the barrel racing world. And that's what my whole family does. We rodeo. My grandma's been to the NFR. My brother's been to the NFR. But that's what we all do. That's what we do. And he knew that coming into the relationship. And anyways, he didn't like it. But back to that part is he tore up all my stuff. And that was, I think, on the 13th of January or something around there. And 15th, I'd come to find out later, on the 15th, he already had a girlfriend. 2 days.
So she was around for a minute before that.
Yeah. And I let Cactus go up there that next weekend. And apparently she had already seen her and, things. So that was a lot. Found that out while I went down to Waco. I think it was Waco, Texas, to an American qualifier down there. And before I ran earlier that day, this girl calls me and was like, "Is this Jaylie?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, I just wanted to let you know that I've been with him," and told me that she'd met Cactus and she was so sorry because she had no idea that he was still married and Like, she just came directly to me and was apologizing and all the things, and, broke up with him. And she said, I just wanted to let you know because I had no idea and I'm so sorry. And I mean, what I believe her, and I have more respect for somebody that's going to be like that and than somebody that just comes at me because I've had them. Well, if you were a better wife or if you were better this or that, then maybe it wouldn't be happening. And her birthday was like 2 days ago, and I wished her a happy birthday on Facebook, and I was just like, happy birthday, pretty girl. Like, for the most part, I would say probably half of people that get cheated on, the other person don't usually know. And if they do, I mean, they're just as bad as the other one to me, but I'm not going to sit here and blame her for, she didn't know. And she called me and she's like, I don't know, but
Yeah,
it is
that
what it
says
is.
something big about a person and
Yes.
how they react afterwards, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
If you don't mind talking about this, and at any point, if you don't want to answer a question or don't feel comfortable with it, don't worry about it. You don't have to at all. If you want us to rephrase something or ask a different question, that's totally fine.
Okay.
But I do know we've got a few people that similar stories, honestly, very similar. Um, how hard was it to get and stay sober?
Oh, you mean like off the drugs and stuff? I'll just be honest with you, like it was meth. And for me, when I said I was done, I was done. And I mean, right then, whenever, especially after I found out about Cactus, there was no, there's a lot of people that for whatever reason, it's really hard to quit. But for me, I did not have a problem. And so it was super easy. But that's coming from me. If you ask somebody else, they might be like, oh my gosh, it just took me forever. But on the other side of that, I'm also sober from drinking alcohol for almost 8 months. That was a little more difficult because after work, you go home, you sit down, you drink. Just drink. I was one of the Cayman Jack margaritas. That was me all day, and literally all day. But I have 3 kids, and me and Brandon both, we have a problem. We're like, okay, we need to fix something. But every time we'd be like, okay, well, after this pack, we'll stop. And then what? You go and get another one, and you get another one. Well, what worked best for us was no, we're stopping now. And whichever is left in the fridge, we're dumping out. And that's how we're done. Not we're drinking the rest of it and then we'll be done. Because that's the easy way out of saying, well, it sounds good, but it isn't really going to happen. And so that was a little more difficult for me. But like I said, once we said we were done and we just got rid of what was in the fridge, we were done. And it helps a ton that we did it together and not one of us are trying to stop and the other one's sitting over there on the couch drinking them in front of you.
It's together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Support and sobriety is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
How old are your kids now?
5, 7, and 8. And my 2 oldest, they're actually my stepkids, but they're my kids.
Yes. Yeah.
They're my kids. And I only say that because Cactus is the youngest and she's my birth kid. So she's 5. And then Buddy is 7 and Graceland's 8.
How was his family?
Terrible. Awful. And I mean that in the best way I can say it. And I say that because when we got together, he didn't talk to him. His sister, I kind of talked to her. And then the first time that I met his parents, we were already married. They could put on a good show, I guess is how you would say that. They could really put on a good show and make you think they were the best people ever. They go to church and they do this and they do that. But that's a whole different story. The kind of people they are is once me and him got divorced, they never one time called to check on Cactus or to ask about her or to tell her happy birthday or anything.
Do they have a relationship with her at all?
No, none of his family. I would say his sister, she doesn't know who his sister is, but she does ask about her sometimes, for like every once in a while.
Does he have a relationship with Cactus?
Absolutely not. He has not talked to her in 3 years, and that was probably the easiest thing. Super hard to do. But as far as getting rid of him, he wanted, as long as he had a girlfriend around, he would try to manipulate, I guess, and all the things. Well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and I'm having the cops come to your house because you're not letting me talk to her, see her, and blah, 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 all those things. Meanwhile, he's high and he's so bad right now. I wouldn't even recognize him. And Cactus does not ask about him because Brandon is the best dad in the world to her. I mean, her donor, that's what I call him, does not have any rights to her. And her last name is Roper, like mine.
That's awesome. Love that.
Yeah. He had showed up, or he didn't show up. He kept giving me excuses of why he was late to pick her up one weekend, why and why and why. And now I have to use so and so's vehicle to come get her because, anyways, just excuses. And I was like, no, I know what you're doing and I'm leaving. And I texted his sister and I said, this is what's going on. I'm leaving. I said, do you blame me? And she said, no. I said, okay. I said, I don't trust whatever he got going on. I'm taking sis and I'm just going back home. And so that was the last time that he didn't see her, I guess. And then we had to go to court a couple times and nothing ever came about it. And he didn't show up. So after a year of him not seeing her, talking or doing anything, then it just filed abandonment. And now he has no rights to her at all.
That sounds like it's the best thing for everybody involved as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no way I would ever let her be alone with him. And he has another kid already had another one. With his girlfriend that he got with this other girl, the last one that I knew about, whenever she was 19 and he was 30 something. Anyways, so
I'm awfully familiar. She's a victim.
so bad. And there's no telling what that poor girl's going through. I mean, it makes me feel bad for her because there's no telling. I'm totally brainwashed her from whatever, because he just has that thing where he can just make you believe everything that he said was the right thing or made it make sense to you that you knew was not making sense at all. But you're like, well, okay, I guess, So like she just had that baby. I mean, he's not a year old. Yeah. And his sister she said, do you still have life insurance on him? Because you might get the cash that in soon. That's how bad he looks. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, sure do. Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
Waiting. Could you make sure you let me know?
I think one thing that you're going to be able to share positively on is how hard was it for you being in such an abusive relationship to get in a new relationship with somebody who's actually decent? Was it hard for you to trust and learn and go through kind of the rigmarole of that?
Absolutely. It's so bad because you get to where you think you're wrong about every single thing that comes out of your mouth. You're wrong. Or even when we'd be in the truck and he would just like reach over to hold my hand or whatever, I would like jump every time. And he was like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I was like, because I eventually obviously told him about everything. And so he was just real like, eased into things. And whenever like the barrel racing, he didn't want me to do any of that. He was real, oh, well, you're going to leave me here while you go do this, or you're going to you're going to go here and there. And Brandon is very encouraging. You need to go. And I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure it's okay? I'm still at that point right now where I've gotten past the whole, I'm sorry, every time that he said something to me or I did something that wasn't that big a deal, but I was always like, I'm sorry. And he's like, stop. You don't have to say you're sorry. It's not that big a deal. I know I'm sorry. It's just all the time. And so it's super hard to adjust and relax and know that it's okay. And now what I have now is go to the barrel races. Go. I want you to. I want you to do great. I want you to go accomplish what you want to accomplish. I got this here at home. I got the kids. We got this under control. We want you to go and do what you want to do, So, but it was super hard to be okay with it. I mean, I still felt bad. I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I went to Memphis and I was gone for 3 days. I was gone 3 days, and I still was just like, I went by myself because they had school, and I was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure it's okay?" He's like, "Yes, I'm sure. Go and do it." And I just felt bad, because I'm leaving him, and I'm leaving him here with the kids, and they have school, and I always do the homework with them and all the things. But it gets easier. It gets easier, but we've been together for 3 years, and that's still where I'm at. So it gets easier, but it doesn't go away. It's not a light switch, where you're like, okay, safe place.
What would you like to tell people who might be going through domestic violence, sexual assault, or even child sex assault right now?
Well, I would say that tell someone. It doesn't matter what you think is wrong or going to hurt somebody's feelings. You need to tell somebody, express, even if it's just one person, let somebody help you, let somebody talk you through getting out, helping you just take a breath and relax and let somebody help you. Don't try to go through it all by yourself. There was a lot of times that you want so bad to tell somebody, but like I said earlier, you can't unless you want help. You nobody can help you unless you want it. And so want the help. Go find somebody, go hug up to somebody and just start spilling and get out of what you're in. And no matter how deep you're in something or how light, you're just barely in there. You just got to slap on the wrist. Adios. Don't see how much further you can get in there. I mean, I went from a little slap across the face to hiding out in the little woods behind our house when it's freezing ass cold outside with nothing, waiting for him to go to sleep so I could sneak back in there and go to sleep on the couch. And there's no sense in putting yourself through something like that. And I just wish I would have done what I'm saying. You make up all the lies and you're lying to yourself. Basically, you're seeing how you're just becoming a great liar to yourself. I have the best friends and family. Like, they would have done anything in the whole entire world for me, and I'm putting myself through that. And there's no reason for that. I mean, somebody knows what's going on with you, but you're lying to them about it because you're trying to protect somebody who's knocking the shit out of you and telling you how terrible you are, how terrible a person you are, how terrible your family is, your friends are, and you lose all your friends and not your family. You lose all your friends because you have talked to them so terribly because of what somebody else is making up in your head that they're doing. And there's no sense for all that. And I hate for anybody to have to go through. And I know maybe to some people, my story might be mild compared to what some people have went through. And or it might be totally greater. And I don't see that from any kind of domestic violence, physical, emotional, whatever. I think it's all the same. If somebody's fucking with your head, they're fucking with your head. And I mean, it sucks no matter what. And whether you're getting black eyes and busted lips and choked out, whatever, it's all the same to me. And it's all shitty. And I just think that everybody needs somebody to talk to. Never hold it in. Let somebody know what's going on so you can get help. My mom, the only reason that my mom ever found out about anything is because she went to court with me whenever I had to go to court. And said, Mom, I have to tell you these things because you're going to hear them in court here in a minute. And so I got to telling her, like, he stomped my foot and broke it. He busted my nose. He busted my mouth. He choked me, and I had all the inside of my mouth right here. He had like fish hooked me, I guess. And when he did, it bruised the all inside of my mouth right there. And like, I couldn't open my mouth to talk at all. And like, he had got, there was like steps kind of, and he'd got me down on the steps and was choking me and just like kind of had my head like pushed down into the steps, And so obviously I'm trying to get him off of me and push him off of me. And whenever I did that, I left some scratch marks on his neck, some little minor scratch marks. And the first thing that he said was, "What are you going to do? Call the cops? Look at these scratch marks you did to me, And so then you're thinking, well, crap. You're the one sitting here, can't hardly talk or nothing because you're all swelled up. But those little scratch marks, You don't want to help. You don't want to tell anybody because you might get in trouble for them, but just talk to somebody. That's all, you know. It don't matter who it is. That's what I have to say. There's always somebody out there that is just waiting for you to ask. I tell all my friends, anybody, people that aren't my friends, because I'm a talker. I'll talk to everybody. And if there's ever anything that you need to say to me, call me, text me. I don't have to say anything. You can just ramble on to me. And if you need me, I'm here. If you just want me to sit here and shut up and listen, I'm here. That's all some people need, is just to get it off their chest.
Absolutely. I think there's definitely more than a few people that needed to hear that. And I think you brought up a good point about how abuse is abuse is abuse. I don't remember what every bruise or cut felt like, but I sure remember a lot of the hurtful words that they said.
Absolutely. 100%. The words, they hurt way worse than the things because they
And
stick.
they know
They
it. And that's the whole point. They do it on purpose.
Yeah, manipulation for sure.
What do you think needs to change in our industry?
You know, I don't really know because you don't know how it sparks in them. What makes a person think it's okay? You know, I don't know where that begins or where it starts. You know, I don't I don't think that his family was abusive for him to be like, okay, it's okay. You know, so couldn't really pinpoint what needs to change because where does it start?
Yeah, there's a lot to it for sure. Absolutely. Do you think pedophiles and sex offenders can be rehabilitated? If not, what do we do with them?
I'd say cut their balls off. Is that a good answer? Cut them and hang them up. I mean, I don't. Honestly, I don't. I think that's always going to be in their head. I think saying, well, you know, pleading or whatever, that there's something wrong with them or they're crazy or this or that. I think all that is an excuse. And this is, you know, it's just me, but I think that's an excuse to not take accountability for themselves. It's just making up an excuse. Well, I couldn't help it. Yeah, you fucking could. How about you look somewhere else? Because these kids and these girls and little boys and whoever they want to pick at, you know, they know what they're doing. And I think they just need to be chopped. Take them to the chopping block, you know? And that, I mean, that's where I'm at with a lot of things, though. You know, you want to act one way or try to get away with this or that, and you can prevent yourself from doing it. Yeah. Done. Done
Yeah.
with them.
I love it. I think I want to end right there. There's been such a range of answers, and I really love that you ended laughing, being like, chop them. That's great.